Yo, 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 yo! What's up, all you burners, stoners, and potheads? This is Weedman 420 with the Weedman 420 Chronicles. How are all you vipers doing out there? Mrs. Weedman.
Mr. Weedman.
How you doing?
I'm very stuffy.
Man.
It's allergy season. It is. Full force. Everything is blooming.
I didn't say how the hell are you because I know how the hell are you. So.
Yeah. I'm a mouth breather right now.
Yes, allergy season is killing Mrs. Weedman.
It's all right.
I feel bad for you on allergy season.
Yeah.
Every year, every spring.
I get through it.
Yeah, you do. But the worst is yet to come. Those little white pollen
the
thing.
cotton.
Ugh.
The cotton trees.
Yeah, when you get there, when that comes around, I feel bad for you.
May and June are rough.
Yeah, they're rough. And you do take allergy medicine.
Every day. Doesn't matter.
This time of the year. I know a lot of people right now, allergies are kicking in. So if you're if you got allergies, I feel bad for you. Even my nose was stuffed up over the weekend. Like runny, drippy. Like that never happens. It was bad out over the weekend. And it was hot and beautiful, but it was still
hot.
Even my nose was runny. Well, we got a little cool weather here in Illinois, which is nice. The heat finally kind of went down a little bit. And how about that?
We went from 40s to 90.
Yeah.
And now we're at like
the perfect
70s.
Weather.
Now it's perfect.
And we had the lunar eclipse yesterday.
That was beautiful.
That was beautiful.
We went
that
outside
red moon.
and checked it out.
Oh.
We had a sunset, a beautiful sunset with a rainbow to the east.
Did you find the
lunar
pot
eclipse
at the end of the rainbow?
No. Maybe someday.
Oh, Yuki's doing good. She'll be 15 weeks.
Yeah.
Excited about her. She's learning how to walk really well. We've been taking her on nice little walks, training her how to walk like on the leash out front and going around different blocks so she gets used to walking. She met a couple doggos today and she was really happy, which was nice. She's very socialized. She loves little kids.
She loves kids.
Loves kids. So loves people. But dogs, it's coming better and better as we speak, so which is great. What else? No shows to really talk about because we're not really watching anything right now. We're in between shows, but some friends of ours gave us some stuff to watch, so we'll talk about some shows soon. We are smoking a new strain, everybody. I got a new strain. Someone gave me a couple nuggies, and this is vanilla cake. And Mrs. Weedman's going to smoke it while I talk about it. So vanilla cake, you are immediately greeted with the fresh from the bakery aroma of vanilla frosting and just a mix of cake batter. The bakery fresh combination is possible due to the combination of the legendary Kush Mints and wedding cake. With the vanilla cake, it is possible to have your cake and puff on it too. Ha ha. And then the Pheno is vanilla cake. Lineage is Kush Mints and wedding cake. It is an indica dominant hybrid. The flavor is doughy cake with light fruit and floral notes. The dominant terpenes are carafulline, limonene, and linalool. All great.
The good ones.
Yeah, all great. Downer, just mellowish terps. This strain is 35%.
Ooh.
Yes.
I took 2 hits.
Oh, ooh, have fun.
They were little.
They were little. So super excited. With this kind of effects you will get, you're going to get just a good body high. You're also going to get very mellow, good sleep. It's going to do a lot for you on this strain. So super stoked to try it. Been wanting to try this strain for a hot minute now. And, I'm going to smoke, and Mrs. Weedman's going to say hi. Mrs. Weedman, say hello to everybody.
Yeah, I'm pretty useless. I just stuck my nose in the container with the buds in it. I can't smell them. So I think this is the one that I smelled last night, and it smelled like super tutti fruity, right? Like light and sweet. Or no, that's your new grow that smelled really, really sweet. So I don't know what that smells like. Tastes good?
Yeah, it tastes nice. So I harvested my strawberry Kush breath, and it's in the tent drying for the next 12, 14, 15 days, depends. By the 10th day, I'll check it and look at it and see how it goes day by day after that. I do always take a little nug, and I smoke it wet, and I cut a nice little nug off. Mrs. Weedman hasn't tried it yet, and I put it in my bowl while I was trimming, and I was pretty baked. You even said it.
You were. I could see it in your face.
Yeah, I was baked, and then I had to go to the store. I went to Jewel.
Oh,
the Jewels.
I did.
I went to the Jewels, and it was kind of fun. It was a little nice. It was a very nice high being at the grocery store, and it was a very body high. Little head, not much though, but full body. I was stony baloney. Like felt really like no pain.
Nice.
It was great. So I'm really looking forward for the Strawberry Kush Breath by Tarantula Genetics. That's who I bought it from. And out of the 4 seeds I planted, only one was a female. So I only got one. But I got some really nice buds off of this. This grow was a big learning experience for Mr. Weedman because I used organic soil. And this soil that I used, you don't have to add nutrients to it until like you get into flower, like the second, third week of flower. And what I fucked up on, though, was I was so used to always adding nutrients that, at certain periods of the grow, and I only grow out of a 3-gallon pot when I use nutrients. And I keep the 3-gallon pot pretty well nutrient, and so I don't have to go to a 5-gallon and into a 7-gallon pot. This, though, you have to change pots, and I didn't know that, so I didn't get the yield that I was hoping to get off that one plant. I did get a lot of bud. I'll probably get at least 3 ounces, 2 ounces. There's some nice, really fatties in there, but not what I thought I was going to get. It reminded me of my first grow when I was very green, per se. And so this one, though, when I do the next grow, I haven't decided yet. Actually, I am going to decide what I'm going to grow. Someone sent me some seeds. We've met a lot of new friends over the last coming weeks. And let me hold real quick. Just want to make sure I get the strain that I'm going to grow. Right.
Do you have more of that strawberry kush?
Yes, I have 6 seeds left.
So you could try it again.
Yeah, I could do it again. So a gentleman named Robert Samololinski. Sorry if I butchered it, but Robert, I want to thank you because you sent me beans. I'm so excited. And I told you I would grow one of your strains on this next grow, and you sent me, what did you send me here? I'm looking it up. You sent me, it's, you know what? It's kind of funny. It's on a piece of paper you sent me. So I apologize, everybody. I'll read it on the next show what he sent me. But I'm super excited to grow a lot of these. And really, really excited. So thank you, Robert, for sending me these strains. That's going to be my next grow. I'll decide out of the 3 different strains he sent me what I'm going to grow. And I'll put pictures out for everybody to see as I grow. But I got a good yield. So it was a very big learning experience to grow with this soil. The buds were nice, very, very terpy, trichomy, but like crystally. Wouldn't you say, Mrs. Weedman?
Yes.
Very crystally. So I'm super stoked to try it. Once it's fully dried and then cured. You know me, I smoke it along the way. But I have a single nug left for Mrs. Weedman to try that's in one of our 8 decades jars. And I'm going to leave it in there for a couple of days. I just want it to be just a tad less wet. And I want Mrs. Weedman to try it because I was baked. So, Mrs. Weedman?
Yeah.
You ready to start the show?
I'm ready.
Let's do this. Do terpenes and edibles have any effects? How some terps metabolize in your system? Now, this is a question, and I've asked myself, I've read a lot about, I've talked about, I've asked questions about, and I found another article, and it's a little older. It's from February of 2022. Not too old, but as I learn more and more about how cannabis goes in your body and edibles and how it metabolizes through your liver and how terpenes do, and there's a lot of like right now people, because a lot of companies out there are talking so much about terpenes, and I believe in them. So I mean, I just told you what we're smoking and what terpenes it has in it, but metabolizing versus smoking versus vaping versus smelling, it's different. So let's read this article. I thought it was very good. The great entourage theory, or is it more of the ensemble effect? Regardless, terpenes, lightly aromatic and oftentimes smelly oils can alter the effects of cannabis, and each strain's ensemble of ingredients produces its own unique experience. Little discussed, however, is the fact that some terpenes are only active through olfactory neurons. This means that those terpenes might not have the same effect in an edible. When smoked, THCA converts to delta-9 THC, as we all know. From there, it is absorbed into the bloodstream, as we know. And as many have found out, active THC is technically an intoxicating cannabinoid, because I'm fucking intoxicated right now from that fucking strain. Oh my. Including the experience of many new consumers, THC has a different effect when eaten compared to inhaled, smoked, or vaped. For the most part, enzymes in the liver convert D9-THC into another isomer known as 11-hydroxy-THC. Terpene metabolism. In comparison, research has slowly advanced and identified a few metabolites produced during the digestion of terpenes in humans. Hiroshima University in Japan researched the metallic conversion of terpenes in rabbits in 1979. The metallic process that plants utilize and produce terpenes were the characteristics in depth by 1995. More recently, some of the metabolic byproducts that are created when humans digest those terpenes have been educated as well. 3 terpenes were separately studied by Lucas Schmidt and Thomas Goen, a pair of researchers in Germany. D3-carnine. Schmidt and Goen first studied 3-carnine, CRN, which is a minor terpene found in cannabis. While the data was more inclusive for carnine, they did detect one metabolite. Small amounts of carboxylated variations of delta-3 CRN known as caminic acid were found after human digestion. To add to their findings, the researchers noted other possible metabolites that did not detect. Caminic acid is CRN10COOH. Alpha-pinene is oxidized in the gut, which produces mertenol, mitrinic acid, and 2 isomers of verbinol. The latter at least can account for the biological effects according to current research. R-limonene. Limonene degrades into carvone, but it further converts into few noteworthy compounds during digestion. For example, 2 isomers of carvol are produced in relatively minimal quantities by human digestion or R-limonene. Beyond carvol, more peroleic acid is found in human blood plasma after the bitter citrus terpene is eaten compared to perolyl alcohol, the latter of which fights against tumors according to early research. LMN-8,9-diol is the most abundant metabolite for R-limonene, LMN, in humans, though followed by the relatively small quantities of second isomer. Oh boy, I need a glass of water. Linalool applied to the skin with ice alter experiencing a burn while reduce the chance of scarring or blisters. Ingested, however, linalool drastically converts to other terpenes. Does only the nose know linalool? The nose truly knows. Follow your nose. It always knows. When it comes to strains you intend to smoke thanks to terpenes, but the effect doesn't quite translate for edibles. Receptors in your brain and throughout our body receive cannabinoids, whereas different receptors found in the nasal cavity and the gut, for example, respond to at least one terpene, linalool. Linalool's anti-anxiety properties might not be as prominent when taken orally compared to the smell of the terpene. A specific type of receptor is blamed. Looking at the full picture, though, a multitude of factors alter linalool's effect based on consumption method. Firstly, the effect that depends on the olfactory neurons, a type of receptor present in the nasal cavity, mouth, and gut. In one study, linalool did not induce GABA-A, which is the same receptor that benzodiazepine drugs target, facilitating relaxation. A later study noted that linalool does not induce relaxation through the GABA-A, but it depends on olfactory neurons. So linalool might have anxiety via edibles if enough of the terpene can make its way into the stomach. Adding to that challenge is metabolism and digestion. I've talked to a lot of people about edibles, and so many people I've been meeting over the last couple of years tell me edibles do not work on them, no matter how much they take. No matter how much they take, they do not get high off edibles.
And are those people that are like daily consumers?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. But some people that even they were maybe not daily consumers still said that, like, I'm like, do you smoke every day? Like, we just started smoking again, and we just started using again, and edibles don't work on me. I'm like, well, does flour? Like, yeah, we get baked. I'm like, okay.
Weird.
Very weird. But I've also been told and have read, and this is talking about in this other articles, is that sometimes people's digestion, it doesn't digest THC at all, any kind of cannabinoid at all.
Huh.
So it's very weird. It doesn't make it through their intestine tract either. So it doesn't get processed through the body at all.
Weird.
Yes. adding to the challenges of metabolism and digestion. I wonder if I can find somebody that can talk to us about that, or even read more articles. I'd like to talk to a doctor or somebody that knows why this happens for people. So for the people that are frustrated by taking edibles, like I talked to somebody that says I take 200, 300, 400 milligrams of edibles and I don't even get stoned.
That's nuts.
Linalool converts into 3 different terpenes as it passes through the esophagus. Beyond this, metabolism subjects linalool to several different alterations. That said, only oxygen atoms can turn the floral terpene into 8-O-XO lineal acetate, the sole metabolite that facilitates anxiety through the GABAs-A. This is promising since linalool might inhibit seizures and epileptic episodes without affecting mood by simple natural processing. Myrcene and monoterpene family. Monoterpenes are one family of molecules and become transient under certain conditions. In fact, beta-myrcene is an important precursor molecule for the terpenes like linalool or citronella. During digestion, oxidation turns myrcene into 4 different molecules, two diols and 2 hydroxyl acids. One diol is known as 10-hydroxylinalool, whereas one of the acids is 10-carboxylinalool. A lot of linalools in boxes. Carfoline, edible oil, and cannabinoid receptors. Linalool and the other 3 aforementioned terpenes are in the group of unique molecules comprised of 10 carbon atoms, known as monoterpenes. We've talked about this before. Whereas consist of 15 carbon atoms, heavier terpenes that are more common in edibles. This is because lighter monoterpenes boil away during process of decarboxylation. B-carfoline, which we just smoked, is not only the primary sesquential terpene found in cannabis, it also directly activates an actual therapeutic cannabinoid receptor. In regards to edibles, the evidence does suggest beta-carfoline taken orally will indeed agonize the therapeutic cannabinoid receptors. Do industries know how terpenes affect edibles? Terpenes heavily impact an industry worth billions, driving cannabis. Odor and scent drive cannabis, craft beer, and fragrance markets. For this reason, how terpenes affect different biological human receptors holds widespread implications for industries and marketplaces. Producers, processor, and the retail department must all execute decisions based on terpene profiles. Of course, a product's fragrance is still pivotal from restaurants to grocery stores and breweries alike, even though terpenes are less effective when eaten. Very interesting. I've read a couple articles that have talked about terpenes and edibles and terpenes and weed and cannabis and flower and stuff. So it's all different. And as we learn, we need to learn more and more about it. So what's the best positive impact you've heard all day?
The best positive impact?
Yeah. Cannabis is having what?
A positive impact.
It's the best positive impact I've heard all day.
But wait a minute. I had to search real quick to find out about people not getting high from edibles.
Oh, thank you, Mrs.
And
Weaver.
there's a term called ediblocked, and it is scientifically real that there are people that do not get high from THC edibles. They do get high from smoking, but they have not done enough research to determine why. They think it could potentially be an enzyme in the liver.
Yes, the liver.
Yeah.
Sorry, I said the intestines. I meant to say the liver. I just read about this and heard about that, and someone was talking to me about that. So yes, it's very, very interesting.
Yeah.
So we'll have to, as more research is done about that, we'll
check on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I have an article here that says over 60% of Americans now think cannabis is having a positive impact on society. Americans are seeing cannabis go mainstream, and they like it. 10 years after Washington and Colorado came to be the first states that took the initiative to legalize cannabis for adult use, a lot has changed. A decade ago, Washington and Colorado took this initiative after enacting Initiative 502 and Amendment 64, respectively. Thanks to this move, many Americans now believe cannabis has had a generally positive impact on society. Many believe these impacts have been significant health-wise and aided in the creation of quality jobs, both at the national and local levels. This is according to findings in the latest Pollfish survey, which was published on April 18th of 2022. The survey also revealed that more than half of the respondents used legal cannabis for the first time last year. To carry out the survey, a total of 1,100 Americans aged 21 and above were interviewed for their opinions on cannabis. Each respondent was asked to share their thoughts on weed, its legalization, and their consumption habits. At the end of the survey, it was found about 2/3 of the informants strongly believe that cannabis has had a generally positive effect on society. 61.5% of the respondents also believe that cannabis plays a vital role in raising economic growth in the United States. About 62% also felt the cannabis industry is very vital for local economies. A total of 67.6% of the respondents affirmed that restrictions placed on federal banking should be lifted to enable American cannabis firms to have access to funding and banking services. It's also important to note that out of the 1,100 respondents, only 43% lived in states where cannabis is legalized for adult use. On the other hand, 22 resided in states where cannabis is completely banned, and 26 resided in states where cannabis is legalized for medical use. Among the respondents, more than half, 67%, had acquired cannabis via legal means, and 31% claimed to use the herb for medical use. 16% admitted its use for recreational purposes, 22% for stress, 10% for wellness, and 13% for sleep. A total of 55% of the informants also claimed to have tried cannabis for the very first time last year. Another 40% of the respondents affirming consuming cannabis once or twice every week. Some respondents claimed never to have tried cannabis. About 21% affirmed they're not interested in consuming cannabis, while 33% had never used cannabis legally. However, 24% of these non-consumers claimed they'd try out cannabis purely for medical reasons, while 15% would try it out for recreational reasons, and 21% would try it out to combat stress. So that's the 21% that said they're not interested in consuming it. Conditionally, they are interested in it, right? A large percentage of non-consumers also claim they would love to try out edible products first. This survey was conducted between March 17th and 30th of 2022 on behalf of Jushi Holdings. The entire survey was also supervised by an associate professor at Art Center, Julian Scaff. Among the vital results, the survey reflected the level of support for cannabis legalization across the political scope. Respondents who identified as independents, Republicans, and Democrats, and other, were asked if they would endorse pro-legalization candidates, and about 60% gave a positive reply. The poll also indicated that 3 out of 4 Americans have the opinion that the Department of Veteran Affairs should review its policy. They believe new policy should enable veterans to have access to cannabis for medical use based on doctor prescriptions. Jim Cacioppo, the founder of and CEO of Jushi, while commenting on the results, claimed that more Americans have been venturing into the legal cannabis market. He affirmed that such is made possible thanks to the legalization of recreational use of cannabis. He went on to say that this movement into the legal cannabis market has changed people's perception of cannabis and the industry in general. According to Jim, the increase in quality jobs and societal and economic perks of the regulated marketplace are evidently echoing among Americans. Hence, he believes the current trend will only grow and intensify with the times as more people come to accept cannabis. Regarding the consumption of cannabis, medical use tops the reason why people choose to use the herb. The report also indicated that the majority opted for edibles as the cannabis product that they would likely try first. Before the survey, it had been established that cannabis is commonly used for pain control in the United States. However, while cannabis isn't strong enough for serious pain, it is very effective for mild pain. In fact, a lot of Americans prefer to use cannabis for medical use instead of opiates. It's less addictive and impossible to overdose on. Evidently, cannabis has proven to be effective in easing nerve pain and pain of multiple sclerosis. A lot of patients have claimed that cannabis helps ease the pain and allows them to carry out daily activities without feeling disengaged. Similarly, cannabis also serves as a muscle relaxant. and people have testified of its efficacy to reduce the tremors of Parkinson's disease. Several reports have also claimed the use of cannabis in treating endometriosis, fibromyalgia, and other conditions accompanied by chronic pain. Cannabis is also used in weight loss treatment, nausea management, and glaucoma. As the survey suggests, the positive impact of cannabis on society is significant, and more is expected to come. Interesting research happening now is looking at the use of cannabis in the treatment of PTSD in veterans coming back from combat zones. This is why many now advocate, again, for the Veterans Affairs Department to review its policy. And that's it. I don't know why they said that twice, but things are coming along. I'm stoned. Actually, it's written in the article twice, but it just, yeah, whatever. I'm high and I can't breathe. It's a lack of oxygen.
Lack of oxygen. That's actually pretty
Lord.
true.
Whew.
Are you done?
Oh, that's it. Yeah, just that's it. Article's over. There's gonna be more research. That's what it comes down to.
Shit.
People like it.
That weed makes me stony baloney.
Yeah, I don't feel like super foggy headed though.
No, I'm baked.
Yeah?
Oh God, it's like it's actually.
Yeah.
And I haven't said this since Bordello, by Grassroots. This fucking shit is hitting me behind the eyes.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
What does that mean? You can't see so good?
I can't see so good. Like it's hit me behind that.
Yeah.
In the brain. Yeah. Oh.
Insane in the membrane.
That's it.
Insane in the brain.
We've talked so much about sativa plant and the indica plant so much, but we always forget about, and I haven't talked about this plant probably since like the early episodes. And this is Cannabis rudialis. And like I said, so many people talk about indicas and sativas are technically the same species or not. There is the third part to consider. This third part also could be considered its own species or lumped in with the other two of subspecies of sativa. Third species is Cannabis rudialis, is just as much under the heading of cannabis as the other two. Cannabis rudialis is native to Central and Eastern Europe and Russia and surrounding countries. Rudialis plants grow smaller than the other two species, rarely topping 2 feet high. The stalks are thinner and flimsier with less fiber and less branching out. The leaves that grow on this plant are long and thin. Sativa leaves have 9 points, and as our 8 decades leaf has 9 points. Indicas 7 and rudialis plants has 3 main points with 2 smaller points. Rudialis plants are fully grown in 5 to 7 weeks from seed to harvest, which is much shorter growing time than indicas and sativas, which require 2 to 3 months. I have a feeling why, because they grow in colder weather, so they in colder Russia where they have to grow real quick. You know, the Arctic, like
Right.
they have like a month plants to grow, flower, pollinate, and die. So maybe that's just my guess.
It could be.
These plants also require no standard light cycle, and flowers grow out of maturity, making it auto-flowering by nature. Rudialis is harder than its brothers and grows in more difficult and cold areas like the northern Himalayas or Siberia. It was initially found in 1924 by Russian botanist Dmitry Janskwitsky. At the time, he created the third species designation on account of its different structure and flowering habits. Though larger forms of the plant do exist and have been found in the same areas, the lack of human selection of these plants have kept them solely acclimated to their own environment. This plant's never had the popularity of its brothers and sisters because of its low THC content, which makes it less valuable for its recreational and ceremonial use. However, it's often high in CBD. Though it can be used for hemp production in smaller stature, makes it less desirable than other cannabis species. Regardless of its low THC content, Cannabis rudialis is regulated the same as a regular cannabis plant, and it is not part of the hemp designation, as that only refers to cannabis sativa. This act as an oversight in the rudialis plant can be a good source of CBD, which is naturally low amount of THC. Nonetheless, unless cannabis is legal for recreational or medical use in a place, use of rudialis is illegal. That's weird. That's stupid. The benefits of this plant. Do we use Cannabis rudialis at all? The answer is yes, we do, though it's not well known to consumers nor advertised in any way. This plant has a few specific attributes that make them good for hybridization with the other cannabis species. One of the main attractions is the ability to autoflower, which is specific to Rudialis only of the cannabis species. Have you ever wondered why you can buy autoflowering indica or sativa seeds? Because they are hybridized with Rudialis plants for this purpose. Ha! Autoflowering makes things easier, generally for growers, as it means the plant will leave the vegetation state for the flowering state on its own, since it does this within its own time frame and without regard to light patterns. This makes for the possibility of multiple harvests within a single year. Ooh, that's cool. Rudialis plants also have great disease and insect resistance, which makes for another reason why the hybridization of other cannabis species. This is an aspect of being ditchweed that can grow nearly anywhere. In nature, it shows up in very difficult places to grow and is able to deal with just about anything. The ability to grow in more harsh climates make it useful too, adding a sturdiness to the other sativa and indica plants. These seeds are so strong they can survive a season in frozen ground. These species is the only cannabis species that naturally grows in cold temperature. Crossbreeding with this species plants keeps the new plants a bit smaller for growing in certain places, like inside or a confined area. This can offer benefits as well. Smaller plants are not always preferable, but for some grow situations, the smaller size makes it easier to grow. The shorter the growing season also an attractive quality for growers, and hybrids are frequently made to access this attribute. The C. rudialis has been crossed with different sativa and indica strains to produce autoflowering plants, which are fully mature in 10 weeks. This makes a substantial shorter growing period than with other species alone. I've seen a lot of autoflowers online, people post and stuff like that, and you see some really nice flower. Cannabis rudialis makes an appearance in Russian and Mongolian natural medicine traditions. Didn't know that either. Rudialis strains were apparently hybridized with strains from the company Bedrocan to come up with the medication Bedial. The high CBD concentration of the species makes it good anxiety for patients and epileptics. Rudialis formulations are also used in medications for cancer, scoliosis, and appetite loss, much like its brothers and sister species. Rudialis is not studied as often or much as the other two and is less frequently directed to use. This can be useful in medical preparations and might become more relevant for these use. In the future, its main use now is hybridization for accessing the unique characteristics listed above. So with all the cannabis hype these days, it's funny that Cannabis rudialis has taken such a back seat, as it contains the same general cannabinoids and can be high in CBD species. The implication is that it is the same general medicinal use as the other species. I wonder if in the future you'll see more of this with rudialis on the medical front. Rudialis is used more than people probably think, not just not directly. So, pretty awesome article. Good for that plant too. Let's get it out there, peeps. Grow some more and get some good CBD, and you can grow it in the northern hemisphere. Grow, grow, grow. Does cannabis make me happy? Every day.
All the time.
Every day and every night. Cannabis makes me happy.
Well, you want to know why cannabis makes you happy?
I want to know why.
Well, meet anandamide. What is anandamide and why does it make you feel happy? Anandamide, popularly known as the cannabis bliss molecule, aka AEA for scientists, holds the mystery of the joy cannabis gives its users. Cannabinoids are an exciting group of compounds. Over the years, cannabis-inclined researchers or scientists have made several discoveries concerning cannabis plants, their cannabinoid and terpene profiles, as well as their unique relationship with the human endocannabinoid system. It might interest you that the human body produces a natural class of cannabinoids, one of which is the anandamides. As we continue, I will introduce you to the world of anandamides, how they interact with significant cannabinoids like THC and CBD, and why they are referred to as bliss molecules. Anandamide is a primary endogenous cannabinoid produced in the human body. This class of cannabinoids is not as famous as their plant-derived counterparts, yet they react significantly well with one another. The name anandamide literally means the bliss molecule. So many people assume that this compound is informally called the bliss compound, whereas it's just their literal meaning. Anand means bliss or delight, while amide is used to describe the molecule's chemical formula. Anandamide has unique traits and activities that help the endocannabinoid system have a beneficial relationship with the plant-derived cannabis plants. It wasn't discovered until the early 1900s, around the exact time THC, CBD, and other phytocannabinoids were discovered. Subsequently, science journals suggest that phytocannabinoids could bind to natural receptors in the human body to showcase their impacts. Between 1990 and 1995, Dr. Raphael Michelum, you've talked about him before.
Yeah,
Michelum.
he is
Michelum.
the
You always say
grandfather.
Michelum.
He's the grandfather of cannabis. He discovered Delta 9.
Between 1990 and 95, he and his research team reported successfully isolating anandamide from the human brain. As mentioned earlier, anandamide is naturally produced in the human body in low quantities. The production process is distributed through different molecular pathways using multiple enzymes. Anandamide has a relatively short half-life. When it's released into the body, it dissipates quickly. The endocannabinoid system primarily comprises the CB1 and CB2 receptors. Both receptors interact with other factors to ensure the body's homeostatic state is maintained. The research team, consisting of Lumiere Haynes, William Devane, and Michelum, observed that the bliss molecule behaves like THC. Both compounds have a highly bindable reaction with cannabinoid receptors. They are capable of inducing effects on the central nervous system and the immune system. However, THC has a stronger, more innate relationship with the CB1 receptor. In contrast, anandamide is fragile, which is another reason it cannot induce a significant psychoactive effect. It is instead responsible for inducing feelings of pleasure, rewards, inspiration, or motivation. Its location in the brain is mainly in the areas that are relevant to memory, feeding, learning, and movement. Scientists say that anandamide allows humans to make or break neutral connections that foster memory and learning. The primary function of anandamide is homeostasis. The brain regularly releases it to keep the endocannabinoid system in proper condition. Cannabis and anandamide have a unique, multifaceted relationship. Each cannabinoid in the cannabis plant has a different effect on the bliss molecule. THC and anandamide have similar profiles. They are both partial agonists of the CB1 receptor, and they have relatable chemical structures. When the body breaks down THC, it proceeds to hijack the CB1 receptors, causing a more profound dramatic response, which manifests as psychoactivity. THC gradually influences the performance of the orbital frontal cortex, the hippocampus, basal ganglia, and the cerebellum. The user can sometimes experience a lack of coordination and short-term memory. THC and anandamide stimulate the release of dopamine, which causes the user to feel pleasure. Dopamine is also involved in other actions like sex, feeding, and rewards. The brain chemical dopamine is released when neurons transmit electrical signals to each other. The nature of the signals sent determines what choices you make in your day-to-day activities. Without dopamine, you would be unable to consciously or subconsciously get motivated, learn, switch moods, or retain a healthy attention span. Note that the short-term irregular use of THC directly influences the brain's reward system for as long as the compound remains active. Periodical use of THC could relatively lower the amount of dopamine produced, causing reduced motivation and other negative emotions. I've never heard that before.
Me neither.
Yeah. CBD is the second prominent plant-derived cannabinoid. It reacts to the Fa enzyme, the chemical involved in the breakdown of AEA, anandamide. CBD is the main reason why anandamide has a short half-life, because it counteracts the effect of the brain chemical. Like we always talk about, if you have too much THC, right, then you have a little CBD and it calms it down. So that's what they're reiterating here. Increasing the amount of anandamide in the body is not only achievable by smoking or using THC-based products. There are various other ways you can augment the bliss molecule, either by consuming certain foods, performing some activities, or using other minor cannabinoid products. The main thing is to consume substances that inhibit Fa That's FAAH. Or contain
faux?
no fa
Fa.
fa
Not faux.
or contain substantial amounts of anandamide. This way, the body automatically has an elevated anandamide level. Some of the substances you can consume include CBD extract, CBD oil, black truffle, chocolate, black or long pepper, and camphorol. Exercises and activities like cuddling or yoga, biking, and long-distance running help increase anandamide levels. It's advisable to stick to endurance activities. Bottom line, in the long run, responsible cannabis use would help nurture a more open perspective on life. Scientific knowledge of anandamide and its relationship with cannabinoids has come a long way since the first cannabinoid was discovered. There's still a myriad of information to uncover about how cannabis plants and cannabinoids could be maximized to help users feel happier in the long term. Until then, I recommend you continue using THC-based products in moderation. Always remember that with more cannabinoids, endurance-based exercises or activities, and a well-balanced meal, you stand to gain more bliss or pleasure as your levels get boosted.
I like being boosted.
Boost.
There's a couple more articles with that too. We'll probably read more.
Yeah.
But I was doing some research on it. So, Missouri activists turned in what they say are double the amount of signatures they need to qualify a cannabis legalization initiative for the November ballot. Good for you, Missouri. Michigan cannabis sales spiked 27% in April. They did $200 million.
Wow.
Fucking crazy. And I mean, you got a lot of dispensaries there and a lot of growers, but you also have a lot of people now from Illinois going to Michigan to get their weed.
And Indiana.
And Ohio.
Oh, Ohio is legal.
Medical only. Yeah, medical only. And it's still expensive for medical too. So a lot of people still go
to Michigan.
Go to Michigan. Kentucky, a lot of people go there. Yeah, there's a lot of people going to Michigan for weed because there's states that don't have it.
Right.
And the taxes are so fucking expensive in Illinois. You can get quadruple the amount of weed in
For
Michigan.
the same price.
Less. It's so cheap there.
Wow.
It's crazy. But Colorado cannabis sales continue to downslide in the last 10 months. Oof. More states are opening up, and a lot of people can not have to leave their state now to go to Colorado to get their medicine.
Right.
Cannabis regulatory update. Delaware, Connecticut, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Missouri, which we just talked about Missouri. But all these states, man, Connecticut officials received more than 15,000 applications for licenses to sell recreational cannabis. Wow, 15,000 apps. Woohoo! Oklahoma Senate sends bill to straighten penalties for cannabis diversion. Oklahoma, don't fuck it up. Efforts to legalize medical cannabis in Kansas stall as end of legislative session nears. Come on, Kansas. Dorothy, Toto, Wicked Witch of the West, let's go. Missouri House requires disclosure of medical cannabis ownership records. So yeah, there's some stuff going on in some different states there. Here's another thing. Bipartisan senators push to finally enact a cannabis banking legalization. There's both sides coming together. They're seeing what the fuck's going on right now. They need to get this fixed, so we'll see what happens. South Carolina medical cannabis legalization bill suffers another procedural defeat and the agony of defeat. Come on, SC. Let's go. Delaware Senate approves cannabis legalization bill, sending it to the governor to sign. We'll see. Let's go, Delaware. New York Senator files bill to allow community cannabis gardens for adults who can't grow at home. That's fucking awesome. New York just coming strong. They want to grow fucking weed on their roofs. They fucking want people to fucking smoke weed on the streets. They fucking just letting people do what they want. And now they're going to have community gardens.
That's cool.
Fucking amazing. I wanna take you to New York City where it never sleeps.
Is that a little Frank Sinatra?
A little bit. 7 in 10 Biden voters support national cannabis legalization, a new poll finds. 7 out of 10. Miami finally approves medical cannabis dispensaries after years of holding out. Remember we talked about this and I couldn't believe Miami didn't have at least one?
Yeah. Finally.
Oh, my gosh. Ugh. Ohio suit resolved by pushing adult use cannabis legalization issue until 2023. Kind of sucks. That sucks. Hopefully they can fucking change that. Another thing I didn't know about, the world's largest cannabis market is struggling and what they're trying to do about it. And this is California. And The taxes are fucking ridiculous out there for the growers. Taxed at a flat rate of $161 a pound. On top of which there is a 15% excise tax, as well as local cultivation, manufacturing, processing, distribution, and retail taxes.
What?
As a result, California ranked in nearly $1 billion in cannabis tax revenue during the first 3 quarters of 2021. Yet the cannabis industry is drowning. And they're saying that the cultivation tax must go. And I just saw a little video of Governor Newsom talking about eliminating the cultivation tax, but they're going to put in other taxes for cannabis. So it's not, they're just moving it from one to the other.
Right.
So they're not really doing much. I mean, we heard about this when we watched some of the early grow shows when the Humboldt Triangle guys were talking about going legit, and they were talking about how high the taxes were and how, oh my gosh, yeah. So, yeah, they're pretty fucking expensive. So hopefully they can fix their shit, but we'll see. I don't know. Anxiety.
Yeah.
We talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
Right? Tell us about it.
There's a lot of people that use cannabis for anxiety, and there's a lot of people that say cannabis gives them too much anxiety, right? But this article is going to talk about how to calm cannabis-induced anxiety. Advice for when you're too high. People across the country are experiencing all that cannabis has to offer, the highs and the lows. For some, those lows can include feelings of paranoia. There is a lot of academic debate about why cannabis can make some people start feeling anxious. What's universally acknowledged, though, is that it can indeed trigger anxiety for some people. The good news? There are some simple ways to mitigate cannabis-induced anxiety.
Keep it simple, silly.
We've rounded up a few ways to calm you down when you get yourself anxious when high. Eat your broccoli and these other high-enhancing foods. Sorry, I can't even breathe.
Take a breath every once in a while.
My nose is so stuffed. 1, consume in a restful environment. If you're the kind of person who gets anxious when you're high, take time to create a peaceful environment around yourself before lighting up to mitigate your risk of a panic attack. Usually the best place to smoke is at home, but it could also be at a trusted friend's house. Then, play some of your favorite music as you start to inhale. It'll help you fall into the right headspace as the THC starts interacting with your endocannabinoid system. The most relaxing music usually incorporates gentle tones with soft vocals. You should also have some of your favorite snacks nearby in case the munchies hit. Finding the right environment is one of the most important steps to preventing anxiety when you're high, if not the most important. Usually, something in your environment is what makes you anxious. It could be something simple like a leak that needs to be fixed, but it could also be a person or even memories associated with the place you're in. If you're aware of anxieties like that while sober, then they will only feel more intense when high. Find a place you're absolutely comfortable in before lighting up, then relax for a few hours. Focus. If an anxious feeling is starting to creep up as you get high, begin using some common calming strategies. These are the same strategies you would use if you were sober, and they all have to do with focus. Focus on your breathing by taking a deep breath, counting to 3, then exhaling for 3 seconds. Or you could find something interesting in the room you're in, like a painting or a plant. Focus on it for a while, taking in the details while the anxiety creeps away. For some people, getting anxious while high can actually be a good thing. While high, people tend to be more in touch with their emotions. Some people can even start experiencing hallucinations related to their state of mind while high. I've had that. Definitely.
Yep.
If you're feeling something this intense and you're in a safe place with trusted friends, this could be your chance to face your fears. Let the people around you know what you're feeling. Try to describe the way that you're feeling. And if there's nobody around, you could try creating something about the feeling instead. Journal the experience. Pick up a paintbrush. Start making art. Through these strategies, you may reduce the anxiety associated with whatever was bothering you, improving your overall mental health. Don't worry, you'll come back down. Most of the time, getting high is a fun and pleasant experience. But like any mind-altering substance, there can be times that you have a bad trip. You may start to feel anxious or even scared about something. One common thing people start to fear is that they'll be high forever. There is no truth to that. What goes up must come down. And just remembering that will make your experience eventually end can be helpful for some people. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. And we just talked about setting a couple episodes ago, and that was all about environment too.
Yep, it is. And
it's important.
You've heard us talk about people, if they need help their first time smoking, we'd be happy to help, I mean, just to get them where they need to be at, to be able to go through the motions. If it's your first experience or second experience, you don't know what's going to happen, or just do it with somebody. You've been smoking for years and someone wants to try it and they want to know what the experience is like. You could tell them about it, but they're really not going to really know it unless they smoke or eat an edible. And you can walk them through it, give them the right dosage, tell them to start low, go slow, and walk them through the whole step of the process and let them enjoy the experience. Put the right music on. Make sure you have some sweets around. So, good movie, chill music, light mood, whatever. Help people out. International news, move with the times and legalize cannabis. David Shrobridge, Greens Senate candidate and Greens candidate for Page Cashmere Miller, visited Nimbin in the home of the annual Mardi Gras Festival. I like that. On Monday to call for legalization of cannabis. Cannabis has been legalized for recreational use and medical use in many countries around the world. It's estimated about 36% of the people in Australia, though, have tried cannabis at some point in their lives, and approximately 11.6% have used it in the last 12 months. I would like to say more, because I have a lot of people that listen to us out there. So they said that decades of failed policy has seen state and national police fighting a damaging and futile war against the plant. The reality is that many people in our community use cannabis, and our health-based approach meets the reality, Ms. Miller said. By legalizing cannabis, we can establish a regulated industry which will raise $4.4 billion in revenue that can be used to build schools, hospitals, and help with the recovery of the climate catastrophe facing the Page community. The Greens say they gain the balance of power in the federal parliament. They will use it to legalize cannabis on a national level. The greatest harm from Australia's current cannabis laws come from the police, courts, and jails that criminalize cannabis users and at the same time empower organized crime, says Mr. Showbridge. Much of the rest of the world has moved on to legalize cannabis, and it is high time Australia did the same. They are joined in Nimbin Town Hall by Northern Rivers musician and activist Neil Pike, who uses medical cannabis. Cannabis is a lot useful than Panadol in relieving the aches and pains, Mr. Pike said. But if I need to drive into town, that means I have to abstain for a few days to ensure the police can charge with a positive roadside test. It makes things really difficult. To all my friends in Australia, thank you so much, man. That article was for you. Hopefully they legalize it there soon. Thailand. What's the capital of Thailand?
Bangkok.
Finally!
I second-guessed myself.
They're fucking doing it so right. They're giving away 1 million free cannabis plants for home cultivation. Thailand's residents may also grow as many plants cannabis as they wish at home for medical Man, oh my gosh. That's just amazing.
The government is passing out.
Yes.
I love it.
Thailand's government leadership singled optimism regarding the country's recent shift in medical cannabis reform with a massive plant giveaway. Thailand Public Health Minister Anutin Charnvukul said he will offer households 1 million cannabis plants for free, and he said that on May 8th in Facebook post. Furthermore, beginning on June 9th, Thailand residents will have the freedom to grow as many cannabis plants as they like in their homes for medical purposes, according to Sharn. Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of Thailand. I want to move there. The nation's Thailand reports that the homegrown cannabis must be grown for medical purposes. Licensing will not be required from home cultivation, unlike commercial cannabis and hemp companies in the country. Oh my goodness. This is amazing. So proud of you, Thailand. So proud of you. You did the plant proud. Now send me some Thai sticks, will you? we listen to a lot of music. I had to drive 6 hours the other day over the weekend, 3 hours one way and 3 hours back, and I listened to a lot of music that day driving, and my playlist was all over the place. Like it was all hip hop, for summer. I was in a hip hop mood.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I was listening to Wu-Tang. I was listening to Eazy-E. I was listening to old 80s breakdance music. Oh my God, I was dying. I was breakdancing. I was doing the electric boogaloo in the car. I was jamming the 80s. I was so happy because it brought me back to breakdancing. I mean, I listened to a lot of different stuff. I mean, I listened to some Beastie Boys. I listened to the whole album of Kendrick Lamar, which was
That's really good.
I listened to the whole album in the morning.
Do you sing in the car when you're by yourself?
In my head.
Oh.
It depends on the song. If I really know it, yeah. Because I was singing some old 80s hip hop too, 80s 90s hip hop. I was singing some raw bass.
Are you like dancing while you're driving?
I was dancing to the breakdancing music. But I was singing "It Takes Two" by Rod. I know that song by
that's
heart.
a good one.
I know that song by heart. And I also was singing My Posse's on Broadway because I know the words to that.
Yes.
Oh, my God. Those two were like staples in my car in like 87, 88, 89. We were playing those like all the time. If you had big 10 to 12-inch woofers, you were blasting that in your car. So what are some songs for your weed sesh playlist, though?
Well, we've got a little list of 10 songs to add to your weed sesh playlist. Vibe out to these songs the next time you and your buddies blaze up. Or save them for yourself because they're just that good. So the first one is Interesting by Claremont II. And we have Telly, Telly, by Amindi. The Heart Part 5 by Kendrick Lamar. That's on that new album that just dropped over the weekend.
That album is fucking amazing.
Empathy by Mia Gladstone. Taxis Here by Tame Impala. Afterthought by Joji, Hazy by Kyle Dion and TK Meza, Cherries by Hope Tala and Anime, Nirvana by Boss, I think it's supposed to be Boss, and Tape You by Nerd, Nerd. So throw those on your playlist and jam out this weekend or this week. Why not, right? Every day is a good day to smoke.
I mean, I was listening to Mike Jones on the way home. I love Mike Jones. I mean, I listen to him all the time. So I mean, my Lil Wayne. I threw some Lil Wayne out there. I threw my 80s hip hop, 90s hip hop out there. I just had the playlist going. I listened to some Bone Thugs. 6 hours of music. I listened to some Run the Jewels. I listened to Illmatic by Nas, his first album. I listened to that whole thing. Oh my God, I listened to some MF Doom. I was all over the place. When you got 6 hours of driving, you're going to listen to a lot of music. It was a great day for hip hop in my car. It was so good. It was so good, especially throwing the 80s breakdance music in there. Oh man. Anybody ever want to talk music, just reach out. I'm not the best at it, but I like listening to it. So Quentin Tarantino threw out his favorite stoner comedies of all time. One of them was Pineapple Express, The Big Lebowski. He's a big fan of and loves stoner comedies. And he's just so if you don't know who he is. I mean, Pulp Fiction is one of his biggest movies of all time. But he loves Dazed and Confused. He says it's a 1993 masterpiece of coming to age of classic, which is a manifestation of iconic slacker philosophy that is evident of many of the Linklater's works. An indecisible cult gem. The film follows the unbridled hedonism of the last days of school. I would say that fucking movie's great. He loves 1995 film Friday, which I like too, with Ice Cube and DJ Pooh. Who else does he like? He likes The Matrix, The Fight Club. Says those are cult classics. They might not be comedies, but they're cult classics to watch when you're baked. Let's see. Legacy film director. He loves F. Gray. I think because no matter where you're from, you can identify with those characters in all those movies when you're stoned. So pretty cool. Nice little list there by Quentin Tarantino. Great director and writer. If you haven't listened to some of his interviews, he doesn't have many, but he's quite interesting. To say the last, the story of like how he started like in the movie industry. Like he basically like lived in theaters when he was a kid, like when he was in his younger years, like lived in them to watch like movie after movie after movie. I mean, he just lived in them. So his story's pretty interesting though. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm pretty good. I'm gonna smoke some more of that fucking weed though.
Yeah,
That was
I would
good.
think I would like to.
I was baked
Yeah.
for a minute there. I was baked. There was a point where you were talking and my little icons on my computer were moving. I had a little visual effects
You were
going
seeing
on.
things?
I wasn't seeing things. I was seeing things moving. It was euphoric for a second there. I was hitting that euphoria high. Pretty nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like those kind of highs. Every once in a while when things start moving.
Moving.
Yeah, it was nice. The colors started moving around a little bit. I was like, there it is. So, Mrs. Weedman, you got anything else to say?
Stay well, everybody. If you've got allergies, I don't know. I feel for you.
Yeah, I feel for you all out there. I really do. Try to take care of yourselves, though, because as much as it rained, it was fucking dry as hell. You had the windows open today, and you said, look
So
at all
much
the
dust
coming in.
Yeah.
It was crazy how dry, how fast, because it was so
And
hot.
yes, I have allergies, and yes, I open my windows. Most people would be like, why would you open your window? I just love fresh air.
Yeah,
I
who
can't
doesn't?
stand living in a
I
box.
know. I'm going to have to close them,
So
though.
I'd rather have the sniffles than be in air conditioning.
Well, because we went right from heat to air conditioning.
Yeah.
It was fucking
literally
brutal.
flip the switch.
Oh my God, I was so pissed.
Yeah.
All right, so I will tell you one more story before we end the show. So it was the first day we had just turned the heat off, like 2 days. Okay? And the house was perfectly tempered. We didn't have the air conditioner on, windows weren't open. It was still cool enough to where it was like 68, 69 degrees in the house. No air conditioner, no windows open. It was wonderful. All of a sudden, we had what was the first day of heat. It was like 96, 90. No, it was like 88 to 92, the first real hot day.
Mm-hmm.
And we decided to just open the windows and tolerate it.
Yeah, because we wanted fresh air.
Right, we wanted fresh air, and we were stomping our feet
Like, I just can't.
not to put the air on.
Yeah.
By fucking 4 o'clock, Mrs. Weedman folded.
It was not. It was like 8 or 9 o'clock.
Bullshit! By 4
No, it
o'clock, you
wasn't.
folded. You folded.
The sun was down.
You folded at 4 o'clock.
He's lying.
You folded.
8 o'clock.
I went and got all the screens out and vacuumed them
Yeah.
out and hung them all and opened
Yeah.
every single window up. And next time I looked at the thermometer, and it was 86
And it was like
degrees. in here.
swampy
It
86.
was swampy.
There was no air movement. It
And
was
Yuki
so
was
gross.
melting. It was her first
Yeah.
true
Oh, yeah, she
hot
was.
day that she had ever felt.
She was flopping around on the floor, like panting. Her tongue was hanging out.
You and Yuki
She couldn't even handle
folded
it.
on me.
Yeah.
You're like, you okay? I'm like, it's hot. I'm not gonna lie, but I can tolerate it if you can. It feels good at just breathing fresh air, not recycled air. And you folded.
I did.
I think it was.
I
like-
just couldn't
I think
imagine
it was
going
like
to sleep.
6. It was
Yeah.
like 6 o'clock.
I
Yeah,
couldn't
going to
imagine
sleep
going
in
to
that
sleep in it.
hot, humid house would have
Yeah.
been fucking brutal.
Yeah.
But you folded.
I did.
So you got
I
anything
did.
else to say now, Mrs. Weedman?
No. I got nothing.
Hey, everybody, we love you out there. Thanks for listening around the world and smoking big fat doinks. We appreciate you sending us all the pictures and appreciate some of our friends throwing us some seeds, man. I appreciate you. I can't wait to grow the new strains, man. I'm excited. We thank you all out there around the world for listening. We appreciate you. Don't forget, everything now is on 8decades.com. All of our social media handles, all of our email addresses. You can even learn a little bit about Mr. and Mrs. Weedman. Appreciate y'all who's on the website. Appreciate y'all out there supporting us. Really do. It means a lot. Humbles me around the world. Thank you so much. As Paulie always says, smoke smart, puff puffing away.
Puff, puff, pass.